6 million ways to die. Choose one.
Bite me, that excite me. He said it's my. If you eating it, do it precisely. Cause I'm a millionaire, it's pricey. Bite me, that excite me. He said it's my.
Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Dari Annie, and in this video we're gonna be doing a mukbang / story time because that's what you guys asked for. So I have posted a poll on Messenger and on Instagram, and then I posted a send it on Snapchat, and you guys picked New York story time. So that's what this is gonna be about. So it was between New York story time and a weekend in my life, which I wanted, but it's okay. I thought I was for me, but I ain't for me. You guys confused as to what the New York story time, like what it be about, and you just confused. Just go watch my Q&A, because in my Q&A somebody had asked me if I had ever been depressed, and I said yes when I was living in New York. So I gonna give you guys the tea why I was depressed in New York, how it started, how I overcome it, all of that. So yeah, me gonna keep chatting my mouth. We're gonna just get into this video because I see this food, I just proud, like you girl make all of this for herself and by herself. Yeah, let me just get into it. So let me start from the beginning, from the jump. Why I moved to New York in the first place. What was the reason? Dariani, like, you live on a island, it's hot. When you move into a cold state, a hurricane happened. This was in I moved in 2017 around November time, so it was like close to my birthday. I know I celebrated my birthday in New York. So basically I moved over there because the hurricane happened and we missed school. Like we missed like 2 or 3 months of school, I don't even remember. School starts in September, and I was just like anxious to just start school and whatnot. So when we had the hurricane, I had depression like start, but I wasn't aware that it had started. Like I was just young, and like I just had like I was sad and stuff, but like I was like too sad. Now that I think about it, it was just too much. So me and my sister, we real close. Well, we're not blood sister. We was like excited to start 10th grade together and whatnot, and we basically just end up separating because of that whole thing. Together, it was like a different vibe, and just if you know us, then you know how we was. So basically, that was my backbone. Like she been there for me through a lot, and that was my shoulder to cry on, you know. So I was thinking about all of that then, and I was like, man, like we're gonna ever get to be with each other again, like we're gonna be around each other again. Like I was just thinking about it. She went off by her peoples and whatnot, and I feel lonely, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta go to school and be lonely. So I just end up telling my mother, like, let's go to New York. It was my idea. I wanted to move. I've been to New York before. I have friends in New York, and well, I never been to a school in New York, but I've been going to New York and whatnot. So you know, when you don't move to the States, you don't usually move by like your people's, like your family, one of your parents' friends or one of your family members' friends. That it's basically like family. So that's how it'll usually go. Alright, when we moved to New York, we end up moving, my mother, my brother and me. We end up moving by my aunt's house, by my aunt and her family. In the beginning, everything was like peaches and cream, or however you want to call it. That's how it was in the beginning. Like everything was straight, everything was good, you know. And then my mother ended up leaving to go back home, to go turn in our apartment, which I had no clue that was going to happen. I had no idea like we was going to actually stay in the States to actually live. My plan was like to stay in New York just for 10th grade and then go back home and finish school back home. Like I wanted to see my friends, I wanted like my life back, you check. But that didn't happen. My mother went back home. She turned in the apartment. and all of that happened. Like all of that hit me all at once. It was just while she was gone. It had a lot of talk in the house. Nothing was said while she was there. But as soon as my mother bust off, it was a whole bunch of this in the house. So my aunt started saying that me and my brother have a nasty attitude, like we have a bad attitude, and that we don't do what we want and whatnot. So she had a lot to say about us. And when she said that, I wasn't really mad about me because I don't care what nobody have to say about me, but like, don't talk about my sibling. Like, don't talk about none of my siblings. Once you say something about my siblings, like, I gonna take that heck to heart and it gonna be like instant beef. So I didn't like what was said, and after that my attitude really changed. Like, my attitude really changed. I won't really fucking with nobody like that. I won't talking to a lot of people that was in the house. Like, I was just to myself basically. When I stopped talking to people in the house, everybody start catching attitude. Everybody start talking even more. My mother couldn't take that, so my mother was figuring out a way for us to move. So before I get into the moving situation, let me move into one of the reasons what add on to my depression. So it was a lot of things that add on to it. I was in school, a lot of drama was going on in that school. Before I even started the school, like the whole process, like me actually going to the school, I took a tour and this dude catch my eye and I catch his eye, and we end up switching like Facebooks or whatever. I didn't give him my number. No, I just give him my Facebook, and we started talking. Like, it was strictly. I had a girl that came up to me on my first day at school. So me and the dude was talking. Nobody didn't know at school. And well, the girl, she was like in 9th grade or something. I've been in 10th grade at the time. So this girl she came up to me on my first day and she was like, "Oh, you're so pretty, like what's your name, blah blah blah." Like, she was being a little friendly, and that's not my type of vibe. Like, if you know me, you know I'm not shy, but like I chill. Like, if I don't know you, I gonna like, you know, observe you first, and then we could click and whatnot. But me, that type of person that gonna just be body with you, like, and say no. So she was giving me like kind of weird vibes or whatever, and she was like trying to show me around. But like I said already, I had already went to the school to take a tour. So she was like taking me around the school and whatnot, and she was trying to like introduce me to people, which I wasn't really interested in at the time. Like, I had just started school and I just wanted to like catch myself and then like actually interact with people. So this girl was trying to be my friend or whatever, and then, you know, school started. Like, me and the dude start getting a little more closer. We start like being more public in school, and this girl, like, she find out that me and this dude were talking. I guess she was his ex-friend. Me and his ex end up having class together, and the girl was a cool girl. I did not know that was his ex at all. Like, I was clueless. But at the end of the day, I didn't really care either, because like, what I have to do with me. His ex ended up finding out. The girl tell his ex that I was talking to him, and the girl start posting all kind of stupidness on Snapchat. Like I said, I had celebrated my birthday in New York, so I invite the dude to my birthday, and we had take a picture. I think it was like a picture kissing or something like that, and he posted on his Snapchat, and this girl took a screenshot of the picture and she posted it on her Snap, and she was like, "Oh, like, he still want me," or something like that. So it was like a whole bunch of drama, which I don't be involved in. Like, if you know me, you know I don't be involved in no drama at all. No social media drama, not even in real life, nothing. So that was just like pissing me off. Like, it was just making my blood boil. Like, I just come to the school, you don't know me, I don't know you, so what you doing posting me? Like, girl, calm down. So this girl ended up posting me wherever. Me and the other girl, we end up just falling out. Like, not falling out because me and she weren't really friends, but we end up not speaking again. The girl was like so mad. Every time she see me, like the ninth grader, every time she see me, she would like roll up her eyes and them kind of thing. I was just like, yeah, girl, you childish. But that one girl, the ex, like when she posted that had get me so pissed off because why you posting me? So when I see she in school, I confront her and I was like what's this? Like, why you posting me? So somebody actually sent that to me. So basically, I confront her and I was like, girl, what's your problem? Like, what's your issue? I'm not the one. So she was just being scary or whatever. She was just like, what are you talking about? Like, she was acting clueless. And I was like, well, you even post that? She was like, oh, cause me and you were supposed to be friends. I said, girl, when? Me and she was never friends. We had class together. And back then I used to wear like fake. Before I had my nose piercing, I used to wear like fake hoops. Like, she would ask me like where I get it from and whatnot. But me and she was never buddy like ever. So she was just taking it too personal. Like, yo, me and you is not friends. And she just took that to heart or whatever that me and this dude were talking. When in her head she was making up that me and she were friends when we wasn't. So that was her problem. That's a personal problem, boo. So then she was just acting scary. She wanted to fight nothing. So I just leave she alone, you check? I leave it alone. I come to a new school. Me wanted to fight, look bad, none of that. We end up not talking again. Me and the girl end up not talking again. Like, she barely even used to come to school anyway. Then this other girl end up coming to the school as well, and she became my motherfucking day one. That's my girl up to this day. Like, that's my girl, and I'm so grateful. She mixed with like Trini and whatnot, and we could relate to like songs and stuff like that. So she's what get me through that school. Basically, she and one of my other friends, we ended up being a clique. So two other girls end up being like no too, so there was no as well. So four of us was no, so we ended up being a clique or whatever, right? A clique. So we was all supposed to be friends. So me and my girl, we end up being best friends. Like, you know, it was just me and she throughout school. And then the other two girls, they end up being best friends. So it was them and then it was us. So then, you know, we pretty, everybody getting along, we vibing. So we just end up being a clique, like I said. So me and that partner, we stopped talking. Like, we stopped talking. It was bringing too much drama. And I didn't want that. So time passed by, like time fly by. Me and this dude stopped talking like from the beginning, like. So after all that drama happened, it was just like cut off. So then as school passed by, like, you know, time went by. This other, mind you, I've been in 10th grade, so. And I've been young and dumb because I ain't went in no serious relationship. I said, what serious relationship if it was in 10th grade? So this other dude pop up and he was like tall, dark skin, you know, he sell me the whole book, the whole story. He was like the whole package, supposedly. So, you know, he was like one of them hot dudes or whatever. And, you know, he had like to see me. And he didn't look bad either, so I just sent on my number. Me and he were like vibing or whatever, like we were talking, and that was just like a school thing. It was not outside of school, like that was just in school, so it was basically a joke. One of the girls in the clique, I don't block out the people in face because, you know, me try and be too messy, but I try and give you guys all the tea. So this girl, one of the girls in the clique, in our clique, she started being weird. Like, it had days that she would just be weird and like, she was just weird. That's how to describe her. That's the best word to describe her. And one day, we were in a lunchroom. All of us just there, like, we cooling, you know, our table, let's see, whatever. And this girl grilling me, so, well, that's how they say in New York, you know, grilling, staring too hard. And if you know me, then you know, I do not like to be stared at hard. Like, that's one thing that I hate, and it's like, it's just something that I think I should change. But like, once somebody staring me down too hard, it's like, what the fuck? Like, you laugh something at me? That's how I react. And I need to change that, because sometimes people will be watching you just because, you know, you look good and whatnot. But that wasn't the case. So the girl, she watching me hard like fuck, and I watch she back. But she watching me with his face. It wasn't like she was just watching me to watch me. No, she was watching me with his face like she wants to beat my ass, girl. Like, she was just watching me too hard. I didn't like how she was staring at me. So I watched her and I was like, what happened? And she was like, oh, you know what happened or whatever. So I like confused, like, what the hell going on? So she was like, oh, you know what's up? Like, you know what's up? And I was like, what's up then? And she was like, oh, you making rumors that I want to talk to this partner. So the partner that she's talking about is the dude, the dark skinned dude. This girl said that I created this rumor that she wanted the dark skinned partner that been talking to me or whatever. So I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, where you get that from? You hear that from my mouth? You hear that from my mouth? So she was like, don't worry, whatever. So I was like, don't worry, what? Like, what's she gonna do? So I walk off, I leave she there talking about herself, because I want to know who the hell she talking to and who the hell make up this rumor, because it wasn't me. She probably make that up in her head. I know she ain't been liking me. I know I ain't the only one that could tell somebody vibe and like by the way they move and stuff. Like, you know, when somebody just acting weird, like they just being fake. Like, yeah, dog. So that's how she was moving. And I wasn't with it. So that same day when the grilling happened, this girl literally, if you guys hear that motorcycle outside, just don't mind it, because it pissing me off. So this girl post on her Snapchat, like, oh, to her best friend. She at her best friend and she was like, oh, so and so, tell your friend Dariani to like meet you outside or some fuck. So I was like, hold the fuck up. Hold on. Somebody came, showed it to me at my like 7th period or something. So I still had 1 more period to go. So alright. She wanted to meet up after school. So I said, alright. My blood boiling at this point. Like, I just upset. Like, these girls literally posting. I'm tired of people posting me on their Snapchat and they don't fucking know me like that. Like, me and she was supposed to be friends. And you did a posting BS about me. So alright. After school done, guess what I do? I went by the girl. I had to see she outside. So me and my girl, the trainee girl, we'd walk with each other like to the train station. So this girl let her in the corner of the school waiting for me. And if you fight on school ground, like, of course you're going to get suspended. So she wanted to walk all the way to the park that are right there. Right there. If we're going to fight, we're going to fight right there. Right here, right now, we're going to fight. She didn't want that. I said, if you're going to touch me now. Because I have places to go. My mother was waiting for me on 3rd Ave. If you're from New York, then you know where 3rd Ave is. But my mother waited for me on 3rd Ave. And so, my mother was waiting for me. And if I had taken too long, you know, she'd have worry and stuff. So, the girl wasn't doing nothing. She was doing a whole bunch of talking. She was like, oh, because you want to talk out your mouth, whatever. I said, girl, you hear nothing from my mouth. So, play crazy if you want. And she ended up not touching me nothing. So, me and my friend walked to 3rd Ave to go meet my mother. And this girl followed me. So, she had a little crew. I don't know if they were her friends or whatnot, but they were seniors in school. And one of the seniors, they was like, oh, if she touch you, then I gonna jump in. So, really and truly, I didn't need nobody to fend for me. But, like, that was so crazy. This girl and her little crew, whatever, they followed me all the way by my mother in 3rd Ave to fight. Suppose I call out my mother on the way over there. I was like, Ma, I might get into a fight. And she was like, what you talking about? Like, what you mean you gonna fight or whatever? And I was like, yeah, because this girl wanna fight me over a dude. And that's not even my dude. Like me and this dude wasn't even together. And she wanted to fight over a man that ain't even my man. We walking down to Todd Ave, I meet up my mother, whatnot. They right behind me. So my mother don't play that. So my mother was like, oh, like what's the problem? Why I wanna fight my daughter, blah blah blah. So one of the girls, I guess she does speak good Spanish, supposedly. So when she opened her mouth to talk to my mother, she had a whole attitude. Her hand been in my mother's face. And it was going to be something because why is your hand in my mother's face? With her rah 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 whatever, and my mother was just like, what's the problem? Like, why I want to fight? She was like, oh, because she talking to this dude that's for everybody or whatever. And my mother was like, okay, what I have to do with anything? So my mother was like, period point blank, I was not going to fight my daughter. I ain't going to touch her. And if I will touch her, then we all fighting. When my mother said that or whatever, everybody bust up to the house. Like, everybody gone. Nobody fight nobody. And me and my mother had places to go. So we just bust off. And just all the drama. I just telling you like what happened. But it ain't really relevant to like actual story. But it's like it was a lot of drama basically. So I wanted to get into the drama. So that's what happened in school, and it was just a whole bunch of drama. So that added on to my depression, because it's like I ain't do nobody nothing. I come to the school, I just wanted to go to school, get good grades, all of that. And I fell off at like my good grades. Like when I started school, everything was straight, like I was getting good grades or whatever. And I just fell off, I stopped getting good grades. Like everything was just too much on me. Like it was just beginning to be too much. So mind you, I done having problems in the house. Mother came one day to the house, and like after work, I don't know if she even remember this, but me and my mother had a heart to heart, and we was talking, and she was like asking me like how I feel and stuff like about the whole house situation. We both felt the same way about it. We didn't like how we were being treated. It was just too many rules in the house. Like you have to be sleeping at a certain time and all of that. So that wasn't living that. One day we went to this place, and I would have never imagined, like in my whole life, like I would have really never imagined me living in this place or even going through this situation, because I just don't know. Like I thought you don't only see them things in the movies, and like when you actually live it, the heck the feel like it just, I can't even describe it, because you have to be in that situation to actually feel it, you know. So one day, me, my mother, and my brother, we went to this place. I don't even know what the building is called. I don't remember I know the building is in the Bronx, but I don't really know where it's located, you know. So it just little flashbacks that'll come to me. And I guess it was like a place where they'll get you into a shelter. Yes, a shelter. And you know, we packed up, we left the house, and we went over there. We went inside, and there was a lot of people, there was a lot of social workers, and we had a ticket. So when our turn came, we ended up just going to talk to the social worker. We opened up a case, all of that, and she asked a lot of questions. So I already mentioned in my Q&A that I was mixed with Dominican and Puerto Rican, and my mother is a Dominican parent, and she don't really speak English like fluently, so I don't have to translate for her even up to this day. So I had to translate for her. So the social worker was actually like asking we like about school, like back home, like questions about back home, basically where we used to live and all of that. We were basically homeless and was trying to find a place to stay. And at the time, I was trying to be positive about it, but like inside, I was like crying. I was dying inside. I was just like, oh my gosh, like in my head, I thinking that we're going to be staying in a shelter, like with people that we don't even know, like with strangers. It was just a lot for me to take in. I just been like not in shock, but I've been like I couldn't believe it. And we were there talking, and I guess we end up getting the shelter because the woman had called us back and she was like, oh, she gave us an address basically. So I don't remember if we took a bus or we went in a taxi to the shelter. We ended up going to the shelter, and to come in and out of the shelter you have to sign in and out. Can you believe that? We had to sign in and out the shelter. Whenever we left, whenever we came back, we had to sign it. We had to sign it. That was like jail. We went into the elevator. When we went upstairs, I didn't know what to expect. I'm telling you, like I expected us to like bunk with other people that we don't even know. So when we get upstairs, they gave us the key. We opened the door, and to my surprise, it wasn't us bunking with other people, but it was like a studio apartment. And this is just so brand new to me. Like it was just something for me to get used to, because it's like you can't say that could never be me. Even though I never said, oh, that could never be me, but because you never know, like God can humble you real quick. And I always had my own room. I always had my own space since I young, and for me to have to like share a whole room with like my mother and my brother, it was just like a lot. Like I'm a teenager, like I feel like I should have my own space, you know. But at the time I wasn't really thinking about that too much. I had a roof over my head and I had like a pillow to sleep on, you know. So when we walked in, I was a bit amazed because I was expecting something different, like I said. And like I said, it was a studio apartment. So when you walked in through the door, I had a tour, like a video, but that's like long gone. It had too many closets, and then when you walked in, it also had like a table, like a dining table with 2 chairs, and it had one dresser that 3 of us shared together. And my mom had, it was these tiny beds. It was like tiny beds, probably like not even twin. I don't know if it was like twin size beds. I don't think so. It was like smaller than that. It was like metal beds. And yeah, me and my brother had the bunk bed, and then my mother had the bed next to us. So this was my mom, and then this was us right here, and we had the little bunk bed. It was no separation, nothing. It was just like all of us just together. We had like a little TV. I don't know if we had brought that TV. I think we did. We had that little TV, and that's what we used to watch. And it also had like a nice bathroom, a regular bathroom, and then it had like a little fridge, and it had like a stove top and whatnot. My clothes, like most of my clothes was like in bags and stuff. And while I was in school, like nobody didn't know what was going on except for my friend. She I know, but nobody knew what was going on with me at all. Like together, and like nobody knew what I had to go through. Like in school, I would just go and I'll put on a face and I'll be like, yeah, I go, like I straight, but it really wasn't. Like it wasn't like me living in New York. Yeah, I had my friends, I had some of my family there, but it wasn't for me to live. Nobody knew, and like some of my family members had know, but it's just crazy that my life went from, I was living good, and then I end up over here. We end up struggling. So then my mom was working, and I'll have to like babysit my brother like all the time. More than half of the time I had to babysit my brother, and I didn't have a normal like teenage like life. I didn't go out with my friends, none of that. None of it. I was living by my aunt. My aunt wouldn't let me go out basically. Like I couldn't go out. I had to stay in the house. So ended up like in New York, you could collect bottles and like exchange them for like some bread or whatever, like some change. Yeah, I was collecting bottles at one point also. And the tone of my voice changed because me just thinking about it like again is just like so heartbreaking. Like I still can't believe like I actually went through that, you know. So then we found out that my mom was expecting a baby, which was the happiest day of my life. That had to be a turning point for me because, you know, I wanted another sibling, but just the thought, like, a baby is always a blessing. It wasn't my child, and he's not my child. Like, yes, my mom had him, and he's where he grown now, but my mother ended up like finding out that she was expecting, and that was just a happy moment for me, and it was a happy moment for all of us actually. I guess my mother having another child, like she didn't expect that because like she already was like of age, and she didn't think like she was going to have another child. One day she was laying down in bed and she was like talking on the phone, I guess, with one of her friends and that lives here in Ohio, and she was just talking to her and she was like, yeah, like I want to move and whatnot. So we ended up moving. We couldn't take everything that we had in the shelter, like most of the stuff that we had there, like our belongings. We had to leave because we actually didn't fly here, like we didn't get flew out and all of that. Like we came in a bus over here, like no big fancy bus neither. It was like, you know, them taxis or whatever. Yeah, we came in like a bus like that, and it was packed. It had a lot of people in there. The dude that was driving, or the man that was driving the bus, he told us that we couldn't take all of our belongings because they have other people coming, so we have to leave some things or whatever. So like I said, we had family other than my aunt in New York. My grandmother was living in New York at the time, so I think she stayed with our things for the meantime. As we like drove off, I was looking back at that shelter and I was like, dude, I really would never forget everything we went through in this place, like ever. Like I would never forget. That's when it really hit me. Like I was depressed. Um, my father wasn't there either. My father was locked up, and sometimes, you know, I feel like a daughter always needs her dad, and I always need my father. To sum it up, like in the beginning, it was like by my aunt's house, they was talking all this shit, and they supposed to be family. That's what they say. Blood ain't always thicker than water, and two, it was all the drama in school. Like people were just poking at me. Well, not like a whole bunch of people, but it was like mainly those two, and it was like people will just push your buttons and they don't even know what somebody to be going through. So that was that, and then us just moving somewhere that we just had to like, that somebody had to monitor us always, like, and then us just coming over here. So I'm thinking that us coming over here was going to be like, at the beginning I thought like everything was going to go smooth, like, you know, these people ain't gonna move no way, like everything gonna be so different from like the first time that we moved to New York. These are people that my mother know since probably before I even was living there. It was this family of three. It was, you know, the mom, the dad, and their daughter. And I know the daughter since like Pampa. Just click instantly because we haven't seen each other. Well, we hadn't seen each other, and we just click like, you know, like we never left each other. Everything was smooth at first. I got enrolled in school. One day my mother was at work, so she had started working, all of that. And one day she was at work and the dad, he came. I don't really know why I call this story a New York story, but I think I said that because it was mainly while I was living in New York that I was feeling how I felt, including everything that I went through in the video. I was at work and she was working from 4 to 12, I believe. I don't remember. So this was now my junior year of high school. And again, I had to start a new school. I had known some people in that school because people from back home in that school. But it just, I had know them. But they were like younger than me. They was like in 9th grade, 10th grade, and so we didn't really interact like that. We was home alone with this man. No, we wasn't home alone. His daughter and his wife was sleeping. And this man, I didn't have no phone at the time. Like my phone had cracked on my first day at school. So this man came downstairs, but now he didn't come all the way. He was just, we were staying in the basement. It had a room, it had a living room, and it had like this little kitchen area or whatever. So I used to sleep in the living room for bed. I think that's what you'd call it. My mother was sleeping in the room and whatnot. The time that he came by the door, he's there yelling after us, telling us that we're making too much noise. I was like, but what noise are you talking about? Like, the only thing that was on was the TV. I had no phone. Like I said, my brother was knocked out sleeping. He said, oh, we're making too much noise or whatever. So I got confused, like, what noise are you talking about? Like, you have to be dreaming or something. That was the first time. The second time he came back again, but it was a different day. I let the first time slide, and then the second time he was just pissing me off. Like the second time, me and my brother was sitting down on the sofa bed or whatever, and we was watching TV, and he came by the door again. He was like, oh, you guys making too much noise. Like I could hear you guys from upstairs or whatever. And then I took it to heart because my brother was up at the time, so he basically speaking to the both of us. And like I said, I ain't gonna take it for me, I'm gonna take it for he. He's so upset. So I waited for my mother to come home, and I told my mom, well, me and my brother told my mom what had happened, like what had happened previously and then what happened again. So then my mother was like, oh yeah, don't worry, I'm gonna deal with it. And the wife talking, and I guess they was like going through it or whatever. My mother was like, why? So that's why he feel like he needs to talk to my children how he want. So then she was like, what you mean? And then she was like, yeah, he talking to my children how he want. He been coming downstairs yelling after my kids or whatever. And she was like, oh yeah, don't worry, I'm gonna talk to him. We didn't have school, so my mother had went to go work, and we stayed alone in the house, well, with them basically. And I had to tell my brother to go try with the garbage. So when my brother went upstairs to try with the garbage, I guess she talked to her husband or whatever, and he stopped my brother, and he was like, oh, who tell your moms that I talking to her any kind of way? And he was like, my brother was like, not me. Obviously, I only have 2 kids. My brother young, so it's like, I'm not going to tell my brother, like, you couldn't take the fault for me, whatever. No. My brother was young. My brother is young, and basically my brother was like, it wasn't me or whatever, and he was scared. I know he was scared. After he stopped, he was like, oh, so if ain't you, it have to be the other one. So he called me the other one basically. And my brother went to go throw away the garbage, and then he came back, and he was like, this is what he said or whatever. Like he basically was spilling the tea to me and what he was saying. So then this man started cussing up and down in the house. Like he was just cussing and asking about what Spanish, English, patois, all of that heck. He was just like talking out his jaw, like he was just cussing bad. Man basically was moving like me, and he had beef. My mother was in the process of saving up the money to get her apartment, but we had to stay there until like she resolved all of that. So my mother didn't want to stay there no more, and we have like other like friends here, like other people that we know. My mother had asked them like if we could stay with them, and we end up staying in a 1-bedroom apartment. 8 of us was sleeping in that room, and together, like all of us was sleeping together. Well, we had one had a mattress, one had like the bed, one had like the other piece of the bed. Like it was just all over the place. It was like homecoming time and whatnot, and I was like so excited. I never been to no homecoming, no nothing, and this was going to be my first homecoming. Basically like a series of stuff that they don't do in school. So first it'll be like the football game, then the dance and whatnot. So for this particular homecoming, I wanted to go to the game. So this would have been my first football game. His daughter was still cool or whatever, and she told me, oh, my father gonna take me to the game. So I said, okay. So I bring my clothes, whatever, over there. He came home. She was basically like, oh, you can take us to the game. And he was like, oh, who is us? But he was so calm. Like before he even heard my name, he was so calm. Who it is? And she was like, oh, me and Dariani. And he was like, oh no, you want to tell me you're going to the game up? Like he start going off like, what's your problem? She was just like, just carry us to the game or whatever. So we went over to the game, and this man basically leave we stranded. So while the game was going, it started to rain, and we end up running into the bathroom, and we didn't have no ride. Basically, he said he was not going to come pick us up. He said, I better figure it out because I'm not, well, he wasn't talking about me. He was like, oh, you better figure it out because me coming to pick you up, you want to be hanging around she and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh my gosh, is he serious? We had to figure it out. So she didn't want to use her mother card. I was like, girl, you better use your mother card and tell her it was an emergency because we need to go home. And my mother don't come out of work until 12 o'clock. So my mother ain't going to rush out of work to come pick me up to this football game. So we end up using the card and we end up getting an Uber home. And when we got there, I told her that my bag was in her dad's car. So she went for the spare key and she went to go get my bag. She went in the car. So they had this security system with a set open and close, like when you open and close the door. And they also had a garage. So as soon as she opened the garage, that fuck went garage open. So then I was like, oh my god, this man gonna already know that she went in the garage for my bags. So he went after her in the garage thinking that she gonna go with a car or something. So he went in there in the garage after her, and I don't know what the hell happened in the garage while she was getting my purse. But it looked like he hit her or whatever, and she ran back into the house. She locked all the doors or whatever, and she called the police. Like, dude, imagine calling the police on your parents. Like, girl, I would just started to feel bad because all of this was happening because of me. So then the police came in and they were just asking like how we doing, whatnot, like what happened. And I was like, to be honest, I just confused. I didn't even know what going on. I just wanted my bag. He was like, oh, you sleeping over? Like the police was like, you sleeping over? I was like, no, I'm just waiting on my mom to come get me. And I told them what time, wherever she was coming to get me. And they was like, okay, well, he ain't sleeping here. And he was like, what do you mean I'm not sleeping in my own house? She needs to get the hell out of my house. She can't be in this house or whatever. And they was like, okay, well, she ain't coming back. Just get out the house for now. And then you could come back in the morning. So this was going to be my first homecoming dance. And I wasn't really too much excited about it because of what all was going on. Like, we still been struggling. We still been going through it. And my mother didn't have it like that to like get me all dolled up for homecoming. So my sister had already sent me my dress. I had loved it. My mother's a hairstylist. I didn't have to go nowhere to do my hair. And my mother did give me money for makeup because the makeup was just like $20. So my makeup was good and everything, but I wanted to get like my nails and my toes done or whatever. And at that point, I feel like I was just asking for too much. My mother was just like, we won't just work with what we got because I don't have it like that, and I just trying to like get our apartment and stuff. So I was like, okay, it's okay. So I ended up wearing some press-ons for my homecoming, all of that. And I had still look cute. I had to go do my makeup. It was actually the girl's sister-in-law who was doing my makeup, and I had to go back to the house to get my makeup done. So she told me that her dad wasn't home. So me being me, I was like, I'm already there. Let me just go and let me do my makeup. So I went in the house. I went and got my makeup done first. And this man ended up walking into the house. And he was like, I told you that this girl can't be in here. And he started going off and he started saying like, oh, you ain't embarrassed to be in here and whatnot. Like he just started throwing jabs at me and stuff. Like he was just trying to put me down, and he was just talking out his mouth again. So he was like, oh, I gotta call the police so they could escort her out my house and all kind of shit. So my makeup was already done, just trying to like get me to say something back to his. So I was like, not today. After I came back from homecoming, my mother was upset. So my mother carried me to homecoming, and then when I reached home, I was crying because all of that went down. Like this man was talking to me like I was nothing, and he was just talking to me however he wanted. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this man has no respect. And my mother was just like, you should never went to the house. So she was basically moving like it was my fault, which it kind of was because I should never went back to the house if all of that happened with the police, But that's where my makeup appointment was. So I just went to check. I started to cry because like, why would you tell me that? And then afterwards, I don't think I ever went back to that house like after all of that happened. That's all that tied in to my depression. And I was basically like, I never had like actual like suicidal thoughts or none of that. Like I never had thoughts like that, because I would think about like my family and the people them that around me, like how they gonna react like if they ever find me in any condition like that, you know. So I was just mostly just depressed. It was just like depression. Like I wouldn't talk most of the time. I stay to myself. And I just cry a lot. Like I just cried myself to sleep a lot, and it was just beginning to be a lot. I lose a lot of weight. Like I was so skinny. Like I didn't really talk to my parents, none of my parents, about what was going on with me. I didn't feel like, if like, you know, as a Dominican, it's like you can't really speak to your parents because it's like they don't think like you being dramatic, or like, I don't know, they don't just feel like you doing the most. So I just felt like I had to keep that to myself. I don't feel like I actually got over it until we end up coming out of that situation. Like we wasn't living in that one bedroom apartment anymore. My mother finally gave us an apartment. I finally get back my own room, my own space. And when I find myself like in my empty room, I just sat there and I was just like thanking God that I finally, well, not I, but like all of us finally get out of that situation. And that's basically like what I did. I just prayed, and I didn't really have nobody there, just God basically. I didn't have nobody there to like actually tell me like, you know, like everything going to be okay. Like nah. All I did throughout all them times, like even when I was in New York, and I was just sitting there with my brother in that empty studio apartment, or like the shelter, whatever. All I did was like pray and like ask God to like put us in a better position. And that's all I had left to do. Like who else was gonna help me? Like nobody. I ain't had nobody there to tell me like everything gonna be safe, everything gonna be good. To talk to, like I ain't had nobody to talk to. In that situation, I was embarrassed at one point. Like I was just embarrassed at the situation I was in. Um, so I wouldn't really talk about it. Like sometimes it had friends of mine that'll be like I could come over. Like it had this one friend of mine's in the school I graduated here, and they was like, oh, like I could come over and whatnot. And I was like, I don't think you can come over or whatever. Like I was just trying to be like said like a lie or something. But I was like so embarrassed at one point that I was living how I was living. And yeah, that's all I did basically. I just tried to like pray my way out of the situation. All I did was like basically pray, and like I tried to open up more. And just the position I was in, like afterwards, like everything was just good. We've been in our own space. We didn't have to depend on nobody. And like if you in a really bad situation, I just recommend that you just have to take a minute and just think, because you might think you want to do something and you really don't. As far as like self-harming yourself, like you don't think you want to do it, but you really don't. That's just in the moment. Sometimes people will think like that. Like I have somebody there to talk to. Like you might think you don't have anybody to talk to, but you actually do. And you know, sometimes it ain't gotta be like the people closest to you. We have hotlines that could help you overcome that. And yeah, that's my story. That's what I went through. In my opinion, I don't feel like family is family when they need to be. Sometimes like everybody family ain't the same, but you know, when you planning things out, make sure you plan it out correctly, and make sure you don't put yourself in no situation that gonna have you struggling or none of that, because ain't nobody gonna have your back like you. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just sometimes, you know, you'd wish that you could like reverse time, and like you could go back and you could just do things different. Because if I could have go back, I wouldn't suggest like us moving to New York in the first place. Like if I know we were going to go through all of that, I wouldn't even suggest it. But I feel like everything that we went through just make us stronger, all of us. The story was like all over the place, but I kind of tried to explain like everything that I went through, and like you guys probably get an idea like how I was feeling throughout the whole thing. So everything that I mentioned was like tied in basically to like I said, my depression, and that's what feed into it, and that's what had me feeling how I felt and thinking how I was thinking. And yeah, at one point I was like, yeah, I gonna harm myself and all of that. And nobody didn't know, like nobody didn't know. That's everything that happened with me that nobody didn't really know about, and I just happy that I'm in a better position, and I do it for me, and I in my own place, in my own bubble, and I just healthy, and I don't feel those things anymore. I don't think those things anymore. And yeah, I just happy that everything get over with, and at the end of the day, like the struggle was worth it. I hope you guys enjoyed my story. I hope it wasn't like boring or whatever, and I hope it was like a bit interesting. You guys got a little look into my life or whatever, and I hope you guys like take some of the things that I said like into perspective. Just know that you have people out there that are just willing to listen and comfort you and just, you know, hear you out. So yeah guys, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and don't be shy, leave a comment down below and let me know what kind of videos you guys would like for me to make, like what kind of content you guys want me to create. And yeah, stay tuned for that weekend in my life because it's coming. And yeah, I just hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I gonna see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Cause I'm a millionaire, it's pricey. Bite me, that excite me. He said it's my. If you eating it, do it precisely. Cause I'm a